Right.
All right, I'd like to call the business meeting in order for September the 4th. All right. I'd welcome everybody. Eric, you mind opening something?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for allowing us to come together tonight to discuss the business of the Fire Commission. And thank you for watching us over our daily duties in training and responding to calls. May everybody have a safe trip home from this meeting, and by now we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Eric. All right, can I get an approval for the September the 4th agenda? Any kind of deletions or additions? Yes, all right, all in favor? All right, can I get an approval for the August the 7th minutes? I hope everybody had a chance to read those. So can I get a motion? Motion. All in favor? Citizen comments. Nobody signed up for any citizen comments. Moving on to the standing committee reports. I'm gonna pass around. We had an amendment to the fire commission standing committees where we had left Josh off. Josh will now be on the standard operating guidelines. That would be the only other change other than Terry Ward coming off of that. He'll be replacing him. If you got any questions, just feel free to ask. We go ahead and get it approved. All right, can I get an approval to accept those standing committee members? Changes? Second. All in favor? All right. All right. Standard operating guideline committee.
Nothing to report yet. Just so everybody will know, Tony and I are going to, our first order priority is going to be to work on the sheet that we fill out for reports and match it or marry it to first due because it was married to firehouse before. So I'll be getting with the chair. Once we get some changes made as staff, I'll forward that then to the chair and we'll make decisions on how we're going to do the meetings. We'll try to do those for that committee by teams so that it can be recorded. That'll save people trouble having to come here to meetings. But remember, there's a whole lot of notification we have to do now even for the standing committees. So we'll do work on it as staff, then it will go to the chair, and then the chair will make the decision on how we're going to do the meeting, or when we'll do the meeting. So, and that will work the same way on all the standing committees if there needs to be a meeting on different ones, depending on what's going on at any given time. So we have to make a 24-hour notification, which means we'll have to send that to Sherry. So we really have to do that more than 24 hours ahead of time so that she and Lauren have time to make sure, number one, they see it, and number two, that it gets posted like it's supposed to, the media is notified, and then the media, if we do it by teams, I assume the media can ask to be added to that meeting, in which case we would do that. But it is recorded, so they get access to it if they need that, if one of them has questions. We've never had media attend one of those meetings. I don't know that we've ever had media attend this meeting other than maybe once or twice in all the years, but we do have to notify them, so that's part of the requirements.
All right. Moving right along to strategic planning. You can report on it.
It's organized now, so.
All right. We're just gonna move into old business since there hasn't been any meetings. Discussion fire rescue moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, Administrator Marstall is here tonight to begin the discussion on how we're going to try to fund things moving forward through the rest of the years that most of us will probably be operating in this service. And for that reason, we basically limited this to the funding discussion. Nothing different has changed on anything else that's going on. We are beginning to move forward with McDonald Green, so everybody understands that. That now is between McDonald Green, the administrator, and the county attorney to do several things, and then that'll be moving on forward. So if that's okay with you, we just turn it over to Ms. Marshall.
I'm passing around a PowerPoint to walk through, make sure everyone has the information in their hands. But first, Chris, be back. I did meet with the fire chiefs meeting the last go around and shared some similar information what we're sharing tonight. just an opportunity to check in, because when I have the communication, I certainly want to recognize Councilmember Billy Mosteller's here, so glad to have his attendance tonight. But I know several times when I've been at these meetings, or the fire chief's meetings, it's just ongoing communication. I really want to thank the Fire Commission, because the Moving Forward Committee, as I've said here before, is what I take forward to County Council. So having your committee work, your committee recommendation, and when there's some division or not unanimity, it's hard to have that information to present to County Council. So I think that with the recommendation that you've all presented from McDonald Green, we've seen how that's been successfully received by County Council. And so we'll walk through some of that to where we are. So today's just a status. What I really want to talk about is even the title. What we're talking about here is truly a structure. We've talked about in the past where we'll talk about where we have Indian Land and Van Wyck have, excuse me, fire service areas, so they have their rooftop fees. Then we have the rest of the county and how we're doing a lot of the funding for the operations out of here through the property tax dollars. So really trying to understand what we're trying to create is a funding mechanism, funding model, and then how do you actually come up with dollar amounts for what it's going to cost to operate within those areas where we're at. And so I'll give you a couple updates. And I want to walk through here with you, just going through the presentation. Again, the Fire Commission, about you all have been very helpful in the apparatus replacement recommendation. You know, we did the last bulk apparatus purchase in 2016. We did get ladder trucks that were purchased with funds in 21. They arrived in 2024. So Lancaster got one, Indian Land got two. But then also what you've submitted is more than 24. You've had a longer list. But what we've been really talking about with County Council is a $16.6 million request across the county for all the stations and departments to get some things. And we've outlined there's a defined replacement list. On here we have 12 tankers, 5 engines, a hazmat rescue. And as we know, the apparatus order lead time is still long, 36 to 44 months. So a couple of things is we have got to figure out what we're working on is how do we fund capital? The way we've done capital in the past, through the bond funds, we have to find a new structure going forward, because part of the concern was, are the people who are getting the benefits paying for it? Meaning, if we buy fire trucks now, it goes to Indian Land, the rest of the county's paying for that. Sometimes if we get equipment down here in the southern part, is Indian Land paying for it? So trying to figure out what is that structure. So basically everyone's kind of paying for their own. We'll talk about that a little bit going forward here. So the apparatus purchase is still out there, and once we figure out, got a couple options for council that we're gonna start the conversation in January. We should be able to have some answers from municipalities about how they're gonna participate, and that way we can start focusing county council on what the structure might be for paying for capital going forward, and even going forward with the staffing model, starting with the McDonald Green staffing to have the 24/7 backup to the volunteers. And so a lot of this will start becoming more clear here in the coming months. But one of the things we're still looking at is there is a way that we can go ahead and order some of the apparatus, maybe 7 or whatever, 9, potentially without having the funding structure identified, just so we can get our order in. We start in this lag time of 36 months, so we want to see about getting things ordered now, and then knowing that we got some funding options, we should be able to put that on top of it. So apparatus is still a question out there, but we think we can make some movement on that here in the coming 2 months, hopefully. Part of the goals is the Moving Forward Committee is presented to me and to Darren, is that you want no first out apparatus over 15 years old. All county fire would receive at least 1 apparatus, and then again they would become the first line response after delivery. So I think those are great goals, and I appreciate having that clarity as you then follow that up with a list of apparatus so that we could be very detailed to share that with county council. Then also you've all made some good decisions, and I know you've wrestled with staffing. And so how do you balance the volunteer member base with support from full-time staffing? We've heard that from everyone every time I'm here. And so you've all highlighted things are changing, family needs, time, training, call volume certainly increased. we have a population growth, so there's higher expectation of service, which has led to the desire to have some more backup support for volunteers with career firefighters. Indian Land has gone to 24/7 over 3 shifts, but we have the whole entire county exhibiting some staffing needs due to the growth in call volume. And so the solution that you all identified that we're talking about, before we get there, so you all are clear that we are using county property tax dollars for the full-time staffing out of this building with Darren. There's 15 personnel, Monday through Friday, based on the EOC, 4 days, 10-hour schedule. We also do have a separate contract with, for personnel, 3 personnel, Kershaw. We split those expenses between the county and the town. We do have an arrangement with Lancaster, where we're funding 3 personnel for the city, but that's part of the arrangement for them to respond or assist with MBA and other rescue requests. But overall, we still show we have 243 volunteers across the 18 districts, including the city fire department. Then we have the current Indian Land and Van Wyck fire district is mutual aid. So that's kind of where we're at. Here's the organizational chart that supports where we're at for the current daytime staffing, basically the 4 10-hour days. But what you get into on page 8 is the McDonald Green model. And so this has been approved by County Council, funding is available, and we will look to implement this in January. And so it implements your recommendation, 24-hour coverage with current staffing. We're looking to have 6 personnel stationed in McDonald Green. It's 3 shifts of 2 personnel, 1 captain, 1 engineer. And then we have the duties outlined there to assist within that district, but also assist in the surrounding calls if needed. And then after 6 p.m., assist with structure fire, vehicle entrapments, and other normal McDonald Green calls.
That will probably change.
The schedule, yeah, we're still working on the schedule structure. Can certainly change between now and January. We'll continue to explore that. But look at the 10-hour day staffing for the rest of the county. So what we have at the station. But this is really looking at the McDonald Green recommendation as you've all proposed it, is to start there, but then look at the regional model we call West, East, and South, plus maintaining Indian Land and Van Wyck. So on the next page, on page 9, we have all the fire districts on the left page in the different colors there. But then if you look on the other right hand where we have basically the city and McDonald Green carved out, and Kershaw, because we have the fire contracts and things covered there. But then if you're not looking at doing anything differently with districts or fire stations or departments, it's just showing geographically how we would look at the county and the pan in the 3 geographic areas. So if this is where we're going to look to you all, that I've said before, I need your recommendation as we implement the McDonald Green regional staffing model. What is the next region that you all think needs the 24/7 staffing support, and where do you think they should go? Where's the best suited station for them? So again, we'll look to you all, and I know there's been conversations and different thoughts expressed around this group at prior meetings I've been to, but again, we would look to say, okay, is there a fire station within the brown area, as that color may be? Where would that be for that region? In the teal or lighter area, where would that be in that region? And then again, over here on the other side, in the more gray, we have the McDonald Green that can help cover that. So I think that's something for the work of the committee as you continue to meet and think about things. We're going to move forward with McDonald Green. What do you all want to recommend is next? And so something for whoever's chairing that committee, we certainly welcome that input. Because I'm only carrying forward what you bring up. I'm not presupposing anything. I'm not asking you to do anything. I am taking your lead. And so I want to make sure we hear from you, but we've got time on that one. But I think that that's what you all have been talking about is how do we have more of a regional focus to have another kind of McDonald Green full-time staffing model for the rest of the county.
Real quick on that, Mr. Chair. What kind of timeline would you need that?
I think we got to let McDonald Green do our evaluation. I mean, March, April, May. But again, if you have something, March, April, May would be good, so that we can think about it for a budget request. So generally budget requests are due in March. So if you think about, is this something that you'd want to do the next region coverage starting July 1? If we do McDonald Green January 1, would we do another region on July 1, and then maybe the third region the following January? It's kind of whatever you all think. And again, whoever's ready. What we've done with the McDonald Green is we did put some money in the budget for a little bit of upfit for the house there, for sleeping quarters and different things. If there's a facility that people are identifying within these regions that need a little upfit as well, make sure we think about that for the budget discussion as well. So whatever time frame you all are on, but that would be helpful, probably March or later. So then I want to make sure on page 10 here, again, where we talk about what is the county support for fire service. And this is with the general fund money where we use the property tax dollar support. Again, for the 15 career firefighters, it covers all the emergency management, the training and staffing equipment, the capital support we've done in the past for apparatus. We do the agreement arrangements for payment for utility costs, all the stations, another station support, laptops, apparatus repair, maintenance. We do have the contracts. And so when you put that all together, between the fire rescue budget, the fire commission budget, where we do some of the grants and different things, and the emergency management budget, we're spending $6.2 million a year, or in this fiscal year, for fire service as it is right now. And then when you add in the full-time staffing that we're going to do at McDonald Green, and then if you want to add more staffing for the different regions, our commitment will continue to go up for funding fire in the county. And this is why we're thinking with county council is, as those costs keep going up, are we looking to have each of the areas, we said, kind of fund their own needs. So we'll show you a map here in a second. But where we're at now here on page...
Let me ask this question, just when you say each of the areas, you mean the pan of the county carry itself, not those individual geographic areas?
The county in 3 areas we'll show you here. So what we're working on with your input and guidance, a 5 to 10 year plan for fire service needs. What is that staffing plan? What is that apparatus plan? If we can make the movement on apparatus here within the next month or the next year to get them ordered and where, one truck for each station or whatever it may be, then what are the next ones? We've got to start getting on a rotating basis, and how can we fund this going forward? So working on that 5 to 10 year plan. But the key that we're in right now is determining the municipal government's role in fire service going forward. So I met with the Lancaster City Council and talked about this. I met with the Kershaw Town Council and the mayor of Heath Springs, and we met with the mayor of Van Wyck. Because municipalities, when they're incorporated, they agree to take on fire service. That is one of their core responsibilities as an incorporation. They can agree to contract it with another municipality or with the county. They can be part of a fire service area. There's kind of multiple ways they can do it, but each municipality has to tell us, the county, what they intend to do. Does Kershaw want to do full-time fire service? Or do they want to do something differently? Because that will help the county council have an answer as to how we structure the funding going forward with Kershaw either doing their own or not doing their own. Same thing for the city of Lancaster. It's pretty much, as they communicated, they're going to maintain fire service. They don't want the county, the contractor, do it, but they might be interested in contracting for some other areas. So there's a couple of situations there. But anyhow, we have to hear, I told the different municipal governments, if we can have an answer from them by November, that helps us then kind of complete out how we give options to county council, how we fund capital, and how we fund operating, knowing that we want to add more full-time staffing as part of the operating costs. And so if I can have that from the different municipalities in November, that will help tee us up for good budget conversations with county council going into the new budget year next July. So what it comes down to, determine the funding structure for operating and capital, knowing the capital needs in the 24/7 model to be more regional, and then consider establishing additional fire districts as the service areas, or maybe contracts and then think about what would the role of a millage or rooftop fee be in the structure going forward. So what I want to highlight is kind of where we're at, is everyone knows we have the Indian Land Fire Service District, so they are operating with their rooftop fee. As part of their ordinance, they are also able to do capital, but for county council, they can do capital either by an increased rooftop fee to what they already have, or they can be assigned a millage to help cover if they want to do a new fire station and have a millage just in their district. So again, this concept, does everyone kind of pay for their own? So within this district, Indian Land would do their operating capital. Van Wyck, they're just authorized for capital right now, so we're going to work on there about their operating capital. And then how would we look around the rest of the county, the Pan? And we have the city of Lancaster kind of highlighted out, but do we look at this as what we call a fire service area? And to do that, would the rest of this area then, just similar to up here, be responsible for your own operating and capital purchases? So that way everyone, there's not accusations of my money's going here, or their money's going here, or whatever. And so that's part of the conversation that county council will be having. There is also another option, probably more on the outside, where you could do the entire county as one capital area. So the entire county, again, talking about how do we still fund for equity as it is. That's probably more remote, so we'd have to do capital by each of the districts and operating. So when you look at that, or when you think about that, we've already got this established. We got this established, needs more tweaking, but the town of Van Wyck will tell us what they want to do. We're not presuming. And then we've got the rest of the panhandle, or the rest of the pan for the county. And so when you think about that, part of the budget conversation is, I said, we're spending $6.2 million for fire service right now. And that's generally the rest of the county. That's the 15 employees that Darren's working with. So that doesn't serve up in the panhandle area.
Well, the support folks that go out of this building, the firefighters don't necessarily go up there unless needed, but all the rest of the support staff in here serves the entire county.
Yes, it's 15, well, is it 15?
Well, you got 15, and then we're actually 20-something people in this building.
Yeah.
So myself, Keith, and then the training officers, the maintenance guys, the fire marshals, all of those serve the entire county, including the northern end.
But the 15 generally down here, right?
They are generally in the pan of the county. If Greg needed them, they would call for them, but they don't go up there automatically.
Got it. So that's what we're looking at, is really the 15 that serve down here. How does that money get absorbed so you don't have accusations that Indian Land and Van Wyck paying for them, but they're not serving up there? And so these are the conversations that we're having. So to even start creating a budget to say, what does it cost to have the 15, to have McDonald Green, whatever other expenses there are for fire service and staffing in the Pan area, we've got to start putting that budget together and see potentially if county council thinks a rooftop fee or a millage is the way to go, what would that actual expense be? And so we're running some numbers now, but again, it depends what municipalities are in, what municipalities are out. That's why we've got to do some more scenario planning on some of that going forward. But I will tell you some scenarios, if you do a millage, what would be generated in the yellow and black striped area on a house for $300,000 value or taxable value, we could be looking at about $70 a year. So that's some initial stuff that we've done out there. I hate to throw out numbers, but I want to make sure people know there is an impact when you start thinking about how do you fund fire service going forward. And just in this area, thinking about a budget of $4 million, if that's what we need for the staffing to help support other things, those are the different scenarios that we're going to be putting together for county council starting early in January. So that's kind of where we're at. But again, this is more about a funding structure or funding mechanism. Is it a fire service area? More so just for the remaining part of the county, because we've already got them established up here. But that will allow us to do what you all are asking for more staffing support 24/7, and then it'll give us a great basis on how we fund the capital needs going forward. So, and also with that though, so what could happen is that the general county property tax rate could go down $1 or $2 million, but then you would see the $70 or whatever offset by being on this area of the county that doesn't have any fees on it right now, as distinct as the two fire service areas. So there could be a little bit of offset about how we structure based upon where the funding goes to support the fire service in the county. So there's a little bit of that has to be considered as well. And so just wanted you to know that we are talking municipalities. Still a lot of moving parts, but really the primary thing is that we're taking your recommendations forward to council. So I appreciate that. As you all have more meetings or want to make recommendations, but thank you, because we've got McDonald Green lined up to go in January. We're working on the apparatus. I know that's important for everybody. And so I think we're in a good spot. County Council, Mr. Mossler can certainly speak to it. Certainly supportive of fire service. We want to make sure we get the funding structure correct so that it meets your needs, and that we're taking your lead on it. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm happy to answer questions now or afterwards. So.
All right, thank you. Has anybody got any questions, Mr. Marshall? All right. Moving right along to first two.
Billy, have you got a report for him?
I tried to give him a day.
Okay, I'm going to bring you up to date on what the parts that I have worked on. I've still got 4 fire departments that have not either registered in theirs, and if they have not made Billy and myself administrators in their departments. That's how I can tell when you register. When you add us, it will show us, but when you make us active, then it shows that we're active at that point. So there's 4 departments still in the county. So thank the rest of you for doing that. If you got an email from me a little bit after 5 o'clock as a commissioner, along with the fire chief, you are one of those 4 departments. So you check your emails and know who you are. I did blind copy to save feelings. We will get to a point where I can't save feelings. We got to get it done, because I don't know how that's going to affect things as we move into turning theirs on in first due, which we would like to do in October. Right now is our goal. I did find out from talking to Brian Kohlhoff myself that the INFRS database is already in first due for us. Now, I don't know if it's activated or not, but one of the things we were concerned about, and we got told at the state, was that we would have to go into the national INFRS database network and pull our data off. That goes away in January. That those servers will be turned off. The problem is they're old servers, and so everybody that's gone in and tried to pull their data off of them has had problems with them crashing, problems with them shutting down, getting halfway through an upload or a download and dropping out. So they recommended we not wait till December to try to do that. So based on what Brian told me, I don't think we've got that particular problem to worry about. We are working on several other modules. I talked to him about training, because Britt's got a lot of certificates for a lot of training that people have done over this last year, probably a year and a half, because we did give them the database out of Firehouse on training. So we didn't want to add anything to the database there, because that would it would be different than what we had actually given them to upload. So we're working on that with them as well. We are working on some things with Indian Land that has to do with EMS function. I think everybody knows when the budget was passed, they're going to be doing actually hired the 3 people this week that are going to be the firefighters on the pick them up truck that the EMT and the firefighter will be running. So that is moving forward as well. That requires another module. So I've gotten pricing for Greg on that. We're also they will be meeting, I think y'all gonna be meeting next week. They're gonna be meeting next week, and hopefully whatever they come up with EMS and medical control, we'll also be able to cover the guys that come out of this building that also have EMT certifications already. Right now, most of them are working a second job somewhere to keep that certification, because they're running medical first responder calls, they're not getting credit for any of that as far as their EMT certification, as we're structured right now. So those are some of the things we're doing with First Due. A lot of it has to do with the way it's structured and coming through. But the biggest thing for you as a takeaway tonight is, please get with your chief if you got that email. There are instructions in there as to how that chief will have to go in. If you gotta sit there with them and help them, please do. But that chief will have to go in and activate that account. And it tells you how to get another password, because the one the state sent out that everybody got back in June is no good anymore. It only lasted 45 days. And when it expired, it's gone. And you can't go back to that link unless you know what to do. So I went in, they walked me through the steps that you have to do it. About half of the county did it after that, so, you know, nobody was alone. There were a lot of departments that had not gone in that first 45 days. So that works, that process works. And if you run into a stall, several of us in here can try to help walk you on through that so that you don't drop out and lose it. So that's the thing that you need to do. If you got that email, please get with your chief and get that part done so that it won't be a hang up with us on anything else. And Bill, is there anything you want to add to any of that?
Putting off calling the state guy back until we got everybody on.
Well, that's true. We're supposed to certify this office because we manage the database to the state that we've got everybody done. And of course, I can't make you do it, and I cannot do this for you. I can't do that. So a lot of things we can go in and do if you give us permission. You can't give me permission for this. Your chief has got to do this because the state of South Carolina set it up. We didn't. And there's a menagerie of things that go on in this state, so they just decided that if it's a fire department and there's a fire chief, they've got to do it. If there's no fire chief, there's no fire department. So that's how they're looking at it.
Is there some of that required info that you can send out to people? Like, there's one section that's all communication information, and Robert's the only person that can get it.
Well, I understand, we're not to that point yet. Once we get them all in there and Billy and I verify the
Y'all going, that's going into the weeds, and a lot of that don't need to be filled out.
no, the chiefs are not gonna be doing that. No.
That's a lot of stuff that on that side that does not need to be filled out right now.
Okay.
That's modifying maps and everything else.
No, that nothing to do with maps.
I understand. But
It is the application itself. There's information that's required when you go through the.
But you're not going to be submitting. You're not going to be submitting nearest reports through the online module, and that's where a lot of that is filling in at.
The NARIS information comes out first.
Your nearest report,
yeah.
Your nearest reports are going to be sent in by
First due, yeah. That's how you fill it out. Yeah. But there's other stuff though that is actually required.
Exactly, but a lot of that's going to be done by the state as a group because we're all one system. Some of the stuff, once all the fire chiefs do what they're supposed to do, a lot of that other stuff is going to be done in the back end.
Once they make Billy and I admin, I can give Robert admin status to put in whatever has to come from his agency that we can't give as a batch to the state.
Yeah.
So, but individual chiefs, once you get it registered and you make me and Billy an admin, that's basically right now all you got to worry about. But I got to have that done so that we can certify to the state that it's done, and then we can begin to do all the back alley stuff that has to be required. But most of that will come out of First Due. That's why we haven't turned it on in First Due yet, is because NARIS was supposed to be done in June. That's because that's when the state sent out everything.
Yeah.
But NARIS made a change to some of the different calls in their string of data in July. So all the big providers, the people with First Due, the firehouse that exists, them, everybody, they had to go back in and rewrite their software language to grab it and pull that information. So right now, we're putting reports in, but when we turn NARIS on, and it basically it'll begin to work instead of infers. When we turn that on, we'll have to go back and touch some of those reports. If they're not, the more information everybody puts in, and y'all are not worried about that now, the people in here and now the people in Indian Land are putting reports in, the more information you put in, the better off you're gonna be. But if you didn't put something that's required of theirs in, we'll have to go back, because that report's gonna pop back up as being incomplete. And so we know we're doing that, but we cannot wait forever, because Greg runs 100 calls a day, so. Yeah. So anyway, that's where we're at with first due, with the NARIS component, and is there any other questions on that? Not to belabor that point.
Thank you. Moving on to fire report summary.
Do y'all have that?
I do not think we have that.
It's better in some aspects. I can tell you, Indian Land looks a whole lot better.
Well, don't even get knocked right now.
Greg is happy. I do know from seeing some that Julie was sending out, East Springs has still got a number of reports. Still work on. I'm gonna work with Jonathan to get him some time while he's in Kershaw on downtime to maybe get him to do something there. But the rest of the departments, I think, are doing pretty good. Julie stays on the guys in here pretty hard. So they're trying to catch up. I don't remember there being a bunch on our group out of here. So everybody else has kept up pretty good. So on the report, Brian is going to be doing a report here in a minute. So you'll find out about stipends when we get to him. So.
I think we're getting it done too, Greg.
Yes, sir.
It was good.
His fingers are shorter right now because he worked them down.
Moving right on, moving into new business, discussion fire commission budget for the 25-26 year.
I don't have anything to add tonight on the budget. We are having trouble getting the bid. Of course, we have a brand new staff in procurement this year. They didn't quite understand how our bid process works. Ours is not simple. It is a huge bid, but it saves us so much time on the backside because everything's done up front. So, Billy, I think she's at the verification point right now.
Yes.
And as soon as she gets done with that, then she will give us the bid sheet, and Billy will be able to do the catalog. Once we're able to do that and it's been released by procurement back to us, we'll get the catalog done and get that out to you. The guys will be handling and delivering it, and we'll tell you it's ready. If you get time to come by, we'll put it in your hand, and then everybody can start over. So that's why it's not here tonight.
Thank you. Stipend discussion?
Let me go with member appointments first, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
If y'all remember the last, meeting a couple of meetings ago, actually, your, chairman at that time, Stacey Roberts, graciously agreed to be on the, recruiter retention committee along with, at that time, Vice Chair, Mr. Sal. Well, Stacey's, come off the commission now, so we need someone else to take his place.
And y'all can elect somebody, or somebody can volunteer and get elected.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
We appreciate that.
I guarantee you about it.
Well, since he's willing, somebody needs to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Give him a minute, he gotta catch up.
Yeah. All right. So, we got Todd Duncan, who's, nominated himself, and, can we get a all in favor? Todd Duncan to assist Brian.
So nobody wants to run for that question?
Second part of that is, this is a time of year when stipends, we don't normally get them numbers together and get those sent in. I would normally have them together and be sent in probably by tomorrow. We had some issues with first due that Tony and Julie had to go back and do a lot of back leg work on, so the numbers will come out right and be good information. So I'm looking at maybe Tuesday of next week, actually submitting the papers to finance to get the checks cut and the payroll took care of. What you have in your packet tonight is basically just the people at your station that are eligible because of training, that kind of thing, running calls, to receive a stipend this year. If we will look over those, I'm gonna send a copy of that to all the chiefs tomorrow morning also. Look over it. Hey, if you have a question, why is this person not on the list or something, give me a call. I'll be glad to go through it with you. Again, a lot of times they don't have firefighter one. Sometimes they didn't run a call. So that's why they're not on the list. So like I say, Tuesday, I'm hoping to get that list to finance. When that happens, finance has the balls in their court then. She normally gets them back to us, the hard checks that we hand out, usually about 2.5 weeks. So I'm looking at toward the end, last week in September, the first week in October. I talked with payroll today, Ms. Jennifer, and she says we can do like we did last year for the county employees and do it on an off week, and we look at October 2nd on that. And that won't be an issue.
And when he says county employees, he's talking about the people who work for the county, but work part-time in the fire service.
Yeah, or someone that's a county employee.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I was gonna ask an email about W-9, so you don't need that from me, right?
No, that was for somebody in your department. I courtesy copied you on it.
Well, I got one.
I forget. I'll try to ask.
I'll let that go.
But with that being said, we're looking at, like usual, toward the end of September, at the latest, probably the first week in October.
One other thing on the budget.
Yeah. Okay, and yeah, that's a good point. Look at those lists, and Chief's, I'm gonna make sure I emphasize our email. I need to know this by like Monday afternoon. If you got questions on somebody while they're not on it. If I go Tuesday and, it's too late.
This has to do with last year's budget, on the gift card that we gave everybody, the $60 gift card. As of the 7th of July, First Citizens Bank closed all of those cards. So if you have not used yours, or if people in your station have not used it, it will not negotiate. You will need to get them to call the 888 or 800 or whatever number's on the back, and go in and say that you need to follow the prompts. And then finally it will get you to an individual who will, you or whoever will get it to, you get an individual who they say will get you a check issued and send you a check for $60 in the mail. Now, most people use them pretty quick. I am one who did not use mine, and so I am in that boat. I am going to be the test case. I have already made the call. I'm waiting. They said 30 days, so I'll know by the end of September maybe. But that brings up another point. I think First Citizens is going to continue to do bulk purchases, which is actually what we did. But we still got caught up with the individual purchases because they were still doing those at that time. They shut off their individual purchase thing, and so if it doesn't verify that they're doing bulk purchases, we may need to have to figure out a different way with the gift card, meaning do like the city does and go to Walmart or somewhere else. We tried to keep it to where it was not specific to anywhere. It was basically a gift card with a MasterCard, a Visa, whatever the bank was selling. You could take that anywhere that a credit card was accepted and use it, with the idea being the firefighter and the spouse could go and eat out at any restaurant they wanted to as long as they took a card and be able to use that $60. So we tried not to direct you somewhere. That's getting harder and harder to do. First Citizens was the last bank that we could do it. All the others, they quit doing it. Wells Fargo does sell them, but they're like twice the cost. So you eat up more of the money in the card cost, and so that's less money for the firefighter. That's why we were able to go to 60. For years it was 30. We finally went to 60, and we've been able to maintain that based on our numbers and the money that's in the budget. So just want to give you a heads up. I may be coming back to you, and you'll have to decide what we want to do. I'm working with the bank manager at First Citizens to see what's going to be available and how it's going to work. But at the same time, I told him I needed to make sure everybody knew those cards have been turned off. So go back to your stations and just make people aware of that. So if they're carrying one in their pocket, don't obligate that money until make sure they got enough in their pocket to cover it, because that card's not going to be any good. it will be good to get cashed out, I think, but it won't be any good at that merchant, so.
The
Don't
city
get somebody
makes
talking
it,
about
the
it.
city puts it in your account, we don't get a Walmart card, they give you a check or either deposit it.
But they don't do the Walmart card anymore.
Why couldn't we just do a check to everybody? It's no different than recruitment, but
The-
it's probably
the-
cheaper
the-
than buying
the-
a car.
The problem with that is that the finance department will strangle me with that many checks added to them. They're already doing the stipend checks, and they've been very gracious about that. Brian and I even talked about the fact we might try to just add that to the stipend check, but I haven't talked to them about that. We gotta be careful with the stipend check, because that is an internal revenue regulated method of paying people.
Or
make
a gift
sure
card
the
is a
county
gift,
is-
it's non-taxable.
To make sure the county is compliant with the internal revenue regulations that set that stipend. That's why it's called a stipend. That's why the maximum amount's where it's at, and the committee's gonna be talking about increasing that, because our base salary has increased substantially as well. So there's a number of changes coming to that program, but we have to be careful monkeying with it because of the internal revenue regulations that we have to make sure we maintain.
Darren, I got a check in the mail a while back for about these gift cards, with a letter and check attached to it. About the gift card being turned off. It said letter and check. I received one of them a few weeks ago.
You must have registered your card.
I think I probably did.
Well, you were smart. If you went on and registered the card, they had your name. See, the rest of your names are tied to our database, and we give it to finance, but the card never knows who you are. It doesn't know where you spent it. But if he went on and registered it, that's why he got that. If anybody else did that, you might have gotten a letter and a check, and you're in good shape.
It's in the bank.
There you go.
Good job, Eric.
That was gas only 1 week.
That's pretty much what you with your wife.
They might have got the letter and the check.
I've got the check.
There we go, that great.
Yep.
All right, any discussion on the call types?
I did not discuss anything with Robert that had anything to do with contract.
We've had 2 calls in about the last 2 weeks that had the drug related.
That we can't fix yet. He's trying to figure it out. We don't, nobody knows why that happens.
Okay, it just ain't come up lately.
Indian land gets them. Sometimes rescue calls come out that way.
Well, we had a call Tuesday night where we actually notified dispatch while we were en route. They never toned us out, but initially we saw a tone out for drug related, and then it disappeared.
99% of ours, if it comes out drug deal, is like some type of traumatic injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a unconscious.
They haven't quite been able to figure that out.
Okay. Hey, nobody's making it like
Robert's aware of it. It doesn't affect the call in any other way. It's just we see it
Yeah, it'll usually change to whatever the call should have been.
sooner or later.
It just feel like
In the
it's
call.
not been a year, but it has been a year.
All right, moving on to the annual damage assessment training. Britt?
All right, so like me and Justin were just discussing, it seems like we do this more, but it is our
It's
time
only
of
once a
year.
year.
It is that time of year for damage assessment. Why do we do this is if you know something right now is brewing off the coast, so we gotta get ready for this time of year, right? So with damage assessment, just in case storms do come through and we have to go out and do some wind chill surveys for them. So why do we do this? So process used to appraise and determine the appropriate amount of damage that possibly has been done to public and private property throughout this time. So what do we look for? Determine the magnitude and impact of the event's damage. So you as fire departments go out, do windshield surveys, go out and look at this, and then we get those results, come back, and then we compile those results and send it to EMD for hopefully some reimbursement for that as well, for assistance for that. All right. So magnitude that's coming out, what does it look like? Based on the number of homes and businesses with major damage and the amount of damage that has occurred in this. So with that, there is always a dollar figure associated with that. So in Lancaster County, there is a threshold that you have to meet before you can get assistance. So right now in Lancaster County, this is updated numbers, $453,195. 52 cents is the threshold that has to be met within Lancaster County. Now, with South Carolina, right over $9.6 million
has been met for this federal assistance to occur. So what does this look like? EMD recommends a request for assistance. The government makes a formal request. So it starts with us at the county, go out, do our damage assessment, collect all this data, and then it goes to the EMD. From the EMD, then gets that information to the governor. The government then sends it to FEMA, and then possibly goes into the president makes a disaster declaration. All right, everybody understand the process for the bank side of how to get the money and all that. All right, so our primary mission, of course, when we go out, we don't want to go out there and hold on to a tree and say, yeah, we're doing damage assessment. All right, wait for the storm to calm down, all right, and then go out there. So make sure yourself is protected. Then we go out and do this assessment. All right, so life safety of yourself and the citizens, but then also issue those as have those issues be attended to your function may turn into this damage assessment. All right. So 2 priorities or primary functions: gather, relay information about the extent of the damage. So we go out and we do these surveys of the damage that has been done, and then with that, once we gather this information, key is documentation. How do we write it down? How do we look at this documentation and see how it is properly documented back to Ed now, and Ed takes that information and goes to EMD. Does everybody understand so far? We good so far? So what does this documentation look like? There's 2 big documents that are in your damage assessment kit. So don't look at the one on the left here. For right now, please focus on the right. So you're going out, you're doing your assessments, write down the road name, and Rocky River Road, Tabernacle, Tax Hall, whatever your road is, and then the address, GPS coordinates, whether there's a house, mobile home, or a business, right? So that is what you'll do the bulk of your information on that right side there, all right? Also, you'll do information here on this paper as well. So this paper, and then the previous slide, the paper I showed you, you'll do the documentation of that. Type of structure, address, and then whether the amount of damage, whether it was affected, minor, major, destroyed. Biggest thing too, was it occupied? Yes or no? And then also, was it a residential or was it a commercial business for them? All right. So you'll do all this information, and if you can, was it insured or was it not? All right. Is everybody good so far on these 2 documentations? So the one on the right here, or kind of mirrors this one right here. Does everybody make sense? So this will help you determine, filling out this paper on the left here, the amount, the extent of the damage. All right. So was it mobile home? Was it a regular residential structure? Or was it a business? All right. Then you'll go into the 3 categories of major, destroyed, or minor damage. The number. All right. So you had 3 mobile homes that was major destroyed. 1 mobile home that was minor destroyed. Businesses, 2 major, 1 minor. Does that make sense? And you go on about that. Then other infrastructures, road, bridges, power poles, pump stations, any of that nature that has occurred damage. All right. So you'll put that in that column as well. All right. See if I got any questions about the documentation, because this is a key bulk of what you do. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. Hearing none, I'll continue on. So in your trucks, at your stations, you have this damage assessment kit. Comes in this nice Clemson orange tote here. Yep, that's your tote. So with that, you have all this equipment in here as well, right? So the big part of it is all your documentation is in the blue clipboard with pencils, sharpeners. Why do we have a tape measure? Measure structure, right? Measure structure. Measure structure. I just want to make sure you get it. Measure structure. That's that way you can see the dimensions of the structure as well. All right. Used to take pictures with this camera. Now a lot of people use their cell phones. It's easier to send in the information by email as well. But if you take pictures with that, please send in the pictures for this as well. When you take pictures, always tell this. Always start at the mailbox. So that way you can get the 911 sign and then do a 360 of the house, just like we do on regular structure fire. A, B, C, D, so that way you can, document it as well when you send it in. So that way when you go to the next structure, once you see the next structure and you see the next 911 sign, you know you're changing addresses. Everybody make sense? All right, for that, with the documentation. All right, so now let's get into examples of what is affected versus minor, major, and destroyed look like. All right, so affected. Affected, you just had a regular storm come through, a couple of shingles knocked off, siding displaced, etc. So is this still livable within? Is this still habitable? Absolutely, 100%, right? Just we look at this like, oh, you know, not much damage, but a couple of shingles off, this is affected. You would do documentation of this. Take a picture of the 911 sign at the mailbox, then you would take a picture of this residence here. Anybody got any questions? All right, that is affected. Minor. Now, minor, when you see at this top left picture, if that was your house, you say that's more than minor to me. All right, but is this still livable? Absolutely, right? It's just gone through the front porch. It hasn't affected any of the living room and anything living quarters as well. So this is still livable. On the right side, it affected their back deck, and also on the front, it's still livable because it took off just a little bit of their porch. All right. So this is a little bit more than affected because now it's got into some structural components of the house, but it is very still livable. All right. Major destroyed. So you can see a tree went right straight through this apartment complex on the top left, and another one on the far right, a house on the far right. Tree got uprooted, and then what is this on the bottom left here?
Gas station.
Gas station. All right. So with that, majorly destroyed. All right. And then lastly, we have completely destroyed. This is just obviously very not much livable spaces here. If you take a look, look deep into the picture on the top left here, that's actual fire department. All right. So and then mobile home on the right, and then just completely torn off the foundation on the bottom right. So completely destroyed for this. All right. Does anybody have any questions about these different minor, major, affected, or destroyed?
I got one.
Yes.
Alright, so all this is talking about the house. What if they have like a shop, whatever, you just tie that in the same?
Yep.
Alright, what if it's like a barn or something that don't have address, just GPS coordinates?
GPS coordinates. Yep. So if closest GPS coordinates, go on. That's it. And also that goes back to infrastructure as well, such as roads, bridges, etc. for that. Right?
Vehicles,
No,
vehicles.
you don't do
Now, something that I did not talk about with this, but flooding. With flooding, how would we rate the flooding as far as affected, minor, major, or destroyed? So flooding, if flooding just went into their yard, into their foundation, that is affected. Everybody got it? Affected. Minorly destroyed is once it soaked and went into the house and it got into the first division, but it did not get up to your outlets. Does that make sense? So if it got into your outlets, that then goes into major. All right? So because when it got above to a certain threshold, that threshold is first outlets. All right? And then of course destroyed is where it's completely wiped out. All right? Does anybody have any questions about flooding? We have a few houses in this area that is prone, areas that are prone to flooding, so it does occur in this area. All right? And we have had infrastructure such as roads be washed out as well. So.
Generally, with our threshold in this county, if there are maybe 2 or 3 culverts that flow, sometimes just one, that's enough to make our threshold just because of the cost of the road and bridges work. Helene, we were declared because of the utilities. Lynch's River and York Electric got hammered hard. Duke Energy got hit, but not nearly as hard in Lancaster County as Lynch's River and York Electric. So they did it. The Water and Sewer District had some damage as well. And of course, the county met, the threshold was met by the county just by one culvert on Andrew Vincent Road. So we got declared that we're trying to get just money back, or enough of 35% back on that. And documentation is a real important thing. And everybody knows this is part of a requirement for the emergency management planning grant to be eligible to receive that. So that helps the county maintain its contact with emergency management through the FEMA program. FEMA's changing. Everybody probably listens to the news just like we are. We don't know exactly how it's going to look. But Keith and I have had a conversation. We can't stay $36 trillion in debt in this country either. So there's got to be some changes. So hopefully FEMA will exist. I think it's a good agency, but there's a whole lot of change that could be made that can make it a much better agency, much easier to deal with, and a whole lot less red tape. So.
Thank you, Brent. Any discussion on the AFT grant?
Nothing to report. I think the department's got something.
All right. Under miscellaneous items, grant updates?
Nothing to report there either.
Darren, I got a few things about this grant. I was contacted by Susan Duncan, from the fire county, for the V-Safe grant. So a lot of, I won't say a lot of fire departments, but 3 fire departments I've been, copied on the grants. Make sure you're closing out these grants, because, there's still 23 and 24 grants that have not been closed out. So make sure you're going back and, doing those closeout grants for that. And also, now it is time to do the 6-month update for last year's grant. So if you're not done an update or at least closed it out, we can go ahead and do that as well. All right?
To his point, you need to be aware that if you don't close that grant out, they can do a clawback and require you to pay all that money back, and you'll have no recourse. That's just part of the way the law is written. So that's free money, and there's very little requirements on record keeping, but those dates and those closeouts that's critical, because that goes into the state audit, and they're not going to play with that. But they may give you a little bit of time, but it won't play for so long.
All right. Moving on to training report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, take a look at your packet as I go down the list. And so a lot of December classes are running pretty smooth right now. Have already finished out the auto education and EVDT. We started the Firefighter 2 on Tuesday, and for the next 3 weekends we'll continue with the Firefighter 2 class. So currently, right now we started out with 10, we'll see where we go with that. So we'll test out in 3 weeks on the 21st for that class. Last 2 classes are the low angle rope class, so still got plenty of time for that. Got 7 people in that class. And the hazmat awareness, you got new people joining your fire department, please have them sign up for that hazmat awareness class. And that'll get me into the next 6 months of training. At this last meeting of August, I started talking with your training officers about getting ready for the next 6 months of classes. So what does that look like? So far, we came up with hazmat awareness, hazmat operations, Firefighter 1, which is the 1152 Firefighter 1 combo class, water operations class, the shore-based water class, pump ops 1, and instructor 1 for the spring classes. We also talked about the RIT series, but the thing about the RIT series is they have updated the facility requirements for that to be held at. So the facility that has to be held at has to be updated first before it can be, a class can be held in that facility. So probably gonna hold off on the RIT training in the springtime. It'll be part of your IST training as well. And then another thing that I have talked to the training officers about as well is we still have a few people that does not have the Firefighter 1. They have the old 1152 and the hazmat ops, but they don't have the Firefighter 1. They're very active in your department. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to host a 20-hour old Firefighter 1 class. So please get with your members, and I'm going to be giving them a phone call and saying, hey, this class is specifically for you. takes, that way you can be eligible for Brian's stipend, the criminal retention board, alright? So please go back to your appointments and talk with your members, especially with these members that are running a lot of calls, very active, but they're not getting any assistance with the tuition reimbursement and the criminal retention. So that class is gonna be specifically for them, and all it is a Tuesday night and Saturday, Sunday, that's it, alright? So 20 hours, that's all I'm asking. So, be looking for that, coming up later, probably around the June timeframe. The firefighter one, speaking with last year's class, we went 2 weekends, off a weekend, 2 weekends, off a weekend. This year, we're gonna be going a weekend, off a weekend, weekend, off a weekend. That helps out the instructors and your students as well, alright, your personnel. So, be looking out for that. Class E licensing, alright, let's talk about this for a second. Class E licensing, so, just held a EVDT class and talked with JD about hosting a Class E licensing. There's 3 Class E examiners in this room, myself, Keith, and Justin. So in October, we'll be going down to the DMV for 3 days straight for our update, right? A 3-day update, so that way we can still remain Class E examiners for this, right? They cut off all Class E licensing until after our update. No ifs, ands, up, buts, period, whatever, right? So we have to wait till we get done with our update. We get all our new forms. So be looking for November time frame for the new, for the Class E license, right? Completely out of our control. That's our time frame for it, right? That is coming from not just our regional coordinator, but the state DMV saying, nope, that's going to come off until then, right? Everybody good on Class E licensing? We're still going to be able to do it, but we got to wait for November. Also, there's a slight change in that. You won't be no longer just driving or doing 4 left turns, 4 right turns, changing twice and parking overnight. They have added the 3 things. They have added, I'll try not to laugh. The 3 things they added was, as you drive forward, you have to clear overhead, right? Just like you do in ladders. You have to do the pull forward and put your front bumper within a 2-foot line, and then you got to straight back for 100 feet, right? And I asked, well, why couldn't we just incorporate that in EVDT? And it was crickets, right? So they incorporated that in the Class E, licensing. So please take that back with your members, especially if the ones that just completed EVDT a couple of weeks ago. All right? Everybody good on that? All right. High school class got a good set of high school students this year. 9 in the class this year, so that is a double block class. So they're going from 8:45 to 11:45. Second semester, we're going to get the seniors or the juniors from last year to finish out. So in the springtime, we'll have 17 students. So right now, we have 9. We got 8 coming back just to finish it out. Starting next year, we'll be completely still just double years out. All right. Out of the spring, I think I've already told you this, but we had 3 students that got jobs out of that class. 2 with the city of Lancaster, and 1 just got hired on with Rockwood. So good number there. Spring and fall rescue drills coming up. We still got on the 16th, we got the rescue strut training coming up as well. Please sign up for that. And the airbags, as soon as they get deployed, out of your station, we'll be coming out doing training on that as well. Social media station update, I know station history. Elgin contacted me, they're ready for it. Contacted Jenna Woods, the new communications director. They are about to hire, I think they got 2 openings. So once they get those 2 openings, we'll be coming to y'all and getting that video taken care of. So I know Brooks asked me about that, and that's where we stand with that. So once they get done with that, once they get their 2 people back hired, we'll be coming out doing a video with that. So don't hold back if you're ready. Just let me know for that as well. IST recommendations. About to start working on the next 3-year rotation for IST. At the training officers meeting, I asked your firefighters to do 5 ideas to come back as your fire department would like for training. What would y'all like to train on. So, looking for great ideas to come back for that as well, in the, train officer meeting this month. First responder class coming up September 23rd through October 28th. This class is going to incorporate 2 Saturdays, that way it will shorten the length of the class as well. Alright, last two things, Mr. Chairman, on the October 28th, has the, Jeff Oswald, the 1% coordinator for, the State Firefighter Association, if he would let us host a 1% regional, training here at the EOC. So that is open to any firefighter within your department. They are welcome to come to that training. It's going to be here, in this room on October 28th from 6 to roughly 9:30 p.m. So a meal will be served at that meeting, for that. So look for a email from Ms. Sarah. We already got an email one time, so next day or two we'll be sending another email out just as another email blast. Use that link to sign up for that as well.
Is there a minimum or max in that?
There's not.
September 28th.
October 28th. And then October 28th, that's a Tuesday for us. Right? And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, I don't have it on this paper, but November the 12th through the 14th, I'm hosting a sonar class. This is, the technical term for it is aquatic incident management class. Right? So if we have a body recovery in this county, which we've had several of, how do we use our sonar equipment to look for the body and recover the body as well. Also helping Sheriff's Office retrieve various items as well using sonar. All right. So that class will be held here. So that Wednesday will be nothing but classroom, and then Tuesday and Thursday is all going to be out on the water interpreting sonar. All right. That'll be 8:30, 8 to 5.
Pre-regs for water rescue training.
Yep. Pre-regs, you gotta have water rescue training because we will be on the boats. Right? So, that way, we can use our equipment. Right? Got two great instructors coming from North Carolina. So really good. Right? Any questions for Chairman?
Thank you, Brett. Has anybody got any questions for Brett? Training?
Oh, yeah, and if you got instructors, or need some IOWs, the next IOW coming up will be a rowing and rope IOW. Look for that in the October time frame. Yeah, that is on the 5th.
And back on the sonar class, just for a minute, we're bringing that instructor here. That's not a fire academy class. It's not cheap. But we've got pretty good technology. We need to be able to use it. We want as many people trained to use it as possible. That's why we brought them here. We've had people going into North Carolina and other locations to take it, but we were only able to send 1 or 2 people to that. So this we're bringing a class to try to make it here. Sonar is a technique that is an acquired thing. You can't just, it doesn't look like a body laying on the bottom of the lake. It doesn't look like a handgun laying on the bottom of the lake. You gotta learn how to read what's there. And that takes practice. So we got people trained, and then we begin to do the practice. We got the equipment, we got the boats, we want to make that happen. So please get people that have that kind of interest, please get them here for that. This is really good training that we're paying a pretty good penny to get here. So.
All right. Any other questions from training? All right, maintenance report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, again, by apologizing on the pump test schedule, ladder test schedule being sent out. It snuck up on with everything we got going on. It starts next week. Not really going to affect most. Some in here have moved trucks, and Eric's moved trucks for us before. But most of the time we're moving the trucks on ourselves, except for any land in the city. And Kershaw. So don't really affect that many, but any help that you can give us next week, we greatly appreciate it. We are gonna have to move some, scheduling around. I've noticed already, talking to Greg, probably gonna finish early on England on Monday, so we probably will stop somewhere else on the way down and pick, some other stations up, and get some things knocked out. So the schedule is fluid, it's gonna move around, everything's scheduled to making sure it gets done. We will do everything in our power to make sure every truck's in service. We got two now that parts come in today for it, we're trying to get in service. And in the process of that, found a major issue with one of them, so, we'll do everything we can to make sure everything's pump tested, ladder tested, nothing gets missed. If it does for some reason, have capability of not getting done next week, we will get it done once it's repaired and back in service. We got, right now, 1101s out of service, need a starter. Starter shipped from Pierce and is on the way. Hopefully it'll be here tomorrow. Engine 4 and engine 3 are both at the Linwood building. One of them has been repaired. The AC compressor locked up on it in the middle of the highway. Thank goodness they were able to get it back to the station. And it's been repaired as of 6 o'clock while I go, when I think Chico left. That one's been repaired. The other ones will be repaired tomorrow. Minor stuff. The major's gonna have to wait. And then minor things here and there on trucks out of service. We got one. Greg's got one being lettered right now. But other than that, majorly done. But pump testing, ladder testing does start next week. So we'll try to get all that taken care of. The fall hose testing rotation, Buford, Camp Creek, Unity, I think our hose for the spare truck, the school truck, things of that nature starts at the end of the month. Still trying to validate her numbers. Cause for some reason she's got to see Lancaster on there, and I'm almost sure we've done that in the spring. But I'll get with Justin and confirm all that to make sure, situation that be. Other than that, I think it's all I got unless there's any questions. And just as soon as we get the numbers back from the catalog, I'll get it sent out so we can make purchases.
Any updates on the iPads?
iPads we're working with, I got some of the mortar mounts in. I got a few more for Indian Land to do, the tankers and the ladders, the towers to do. Indian Lands will be done, and, cause all the engines will be done, the rescues we have to do. And then we'll just contact each fire department one-on-one. What I'm trying to do as a truck is at here being repaired, tires, whatnot, whatever, I try to do it then. Cause I got the truck here, I can do the wiring, I can do the mount, and do everything at one time, and before it leaves, it has the computer in it. And just remember, passcode is 911911. Okay, that's for every iPad that's going to be in a fire truck, and that's a permanent code. Okay,
Billy, question, the light tower that we.
and it's next.
It's next.
Yeah. Yep. It is next.
Anybody else got anything for Bill? Maintenance? Alright, moving to budget for county quarry.
Mr. Chairman, you've got a copy in your packet of the 141 budget and the 144 budget. Of course, we've begun making expenditures. I think it's self-explanatory. If anybody's got a question, I'll try to answer that or get you an answer. As we begin moving, of course, nobody's got a catalog yet, so none of y'all is putting equipment on it. But we'll be hopefully getting that taken care of in the next couple of weeks.
We did have a positive on that, with the delay in the catalog. Our contract, not really contract, but our bid quote for here for the school program actually went to when it started was, October 1st last year, because we was late, the bids were late coming in also last year. So our bid actually, or September 1st, our bid actually was good to August, the end of August. So we was able to order the school gear, and I think 2 more stations, in Kershaw and another station picked up on that and was able to order their gear, Toby, I think yours was too, on last year's pricing. And procurement was allowed to do that because of the deadline or the termination date of that bid wasn't until August 31st. So we hit a positive on that and saved probably $400 or $500 set of turnout gear.
I think it was like $450 a set when I talked to you about it. The new prices were about $450 a set more.
So we did get that done. That's why you'll see some stuff out of the school program.
And one more thing that may affect prices, a city in Wisconsin named La Crosse has filed a lawsuit against all the major fire apparatus manufacturers. And they're alleging that those manufacturers have basically colluded and gotten into antitrust conspiracy by doing the collusion, meaning price fixing. Right now they've got the Oshkosh Corporation with its subsidiary Pierce Manufacturing, the REV Group Incorporated and its subsidiaries, Rosenbauer America LLC. I think they also own E1 and another one, I can't remember the name of that one right off the top of my head, along with the Fire Apparatus Manufacturers Association. That lawsuit, those companies that I just named account for up to 80% of the fire truck sales in this country. So, depending on how that lawsuit pans out, that's going to have a major effect, I think, on what has gone on more than likely since COVID. We all suspected there might be something going on, but undoubtedly, based on, I went on down and read the rest of the lawsuit, they've got a lot of specificity in this lawsuit. So they undoubtedly have an insider giving them information, or they are really throwing a broad fish net to see if they can catch something. But it'll be interesting to see how that suit proceeds on through the federal courts. Wisconsin, it surprised me that a city in Wisconsin brought this suit, given how large Oshkosh is in the state of Wisconsin, and the number of people that work for them in both their defense industry, which is what Oshkosh primarily does, and in their fire truck industry, which is Pierce. And along with the mobile command post is also one of those companies in its front line. So they've got a lot of different companies that they deal with, along with, everybody knows Rosenbauer is one of the largest. But that group bought up a bunch of smaller companies that got into financial trouble. So the two groups represent most everything that goes on in the country. I want to make you aware of that. And you got a couple emails from us, and we apologize for that. Sabre got classified a terrorist because she sent an email, a big blast email with attachments, which were packaged that went out to all the fire departments and all of that, to you and all the firefighters. It turns out that Microsoft decided in all of its wisdom that people who send large list blast emails are dangerous, and so they summarily classified everybody that way. Because I called our IT department pretty upset because we were shut down and had to meet the requirements of getting your meeting notified and all of that. And they were scrambling trying to get it done because they didn't know it was coming either. They had no warning. It just happened in the middle of the night. Their workaround is going to be something. I've made so much fun of the name now I can't remember it. Is it MailChimp?
MailChimp.
Yeah. I call it chip monkeys. But anyway, MailChimp is the way we're going to get around that. And Cindy is coming around to the different departments that generally do blast emails and working to get us set up. She has not been here yet. So we're a little bit tenuous right now. They've got me set where I can send up to 1,000 emails in one blast in a day, which generally will cover me. And then Sarah's the same way. So we think we can continue to operate. But every time we send one, we look for a whole bunch of stuff to come back. Because that's what happened that day. she sent the email, and all of a sudden she had like 100 kickbacks. And all of us in here got it, but then we found out what was going on. So there's a workaround, but that's a Microsoft problem, and you know, Microsoft we all fuss about and have for years. But as long as we use Microsoft products, they're going to work. Them and Facebook on the world, I guess. But so just be aware of that. We may be sending out a couple different runs if we get a bunch of kickbacks, because we have no way of knowing who got it, who didn't get it. So we apologize for that up front before we move forward. The other thing is if you have not gotten your 1% check for your fire department, it is here. They were not mailed this year. They sent them to us in an envelope. We got them Tuesday. And we just decided we'd hold them till tonight rather than try to get all the chiefs to come in, because we knew most of y'all would be here tonight. There is a list you'll get them to sign for it. I think most everybody's done that. If you see your check decrease, your money probably went to Indian land, but but theirs went down too. And the reason the pot fluctuates is that there is a thing called event insurance. And depending on the number of events that were held in the county and the policies that those people bought and how much those premiums were, that's a fluctuating number. Homeowners insurance stays pretty steady. Industry and commercial insurance stays pretty steady. But the event insurance can fluctuate wildly given whatever's going on at any given time in a year, because it is a year. And the event insurance was down. The pot was a little bit smaller this year. Carrie gave me warning about that when she told me she was getting all the checks done. Some departments actually went up, but most went down just a little bit. And if you got a lot of residential development going on, you may be one of them that went up a little bit. You did feel blessed because most everybody went down just a little bit on that. Anyway, you got your check. And that should take care of that. I think that's all I need to make that goes with the budget.
All right, thank you, Darren. Anybody got any questions on the budget? All right, I want to thank our guests, Sergio and Chaplain, Bill and myself for coming out, and Mr. Marstoff. Anybody got any station announcements?
We failed to the expo. It's coming up on October 11th.
The National Night Out is October it's on Tuesday before that Saturday.
4th is Saturday, so. Saturday. Bed racing on the 4th. 10 to 1 for the expo.
10 to 1
on a competition, so we'll try to get everybody out there pretty quick.
McDonald Green will be having their barbecue on September 27th as well. Any other station in that? September 27th.
Our county chaplain, Ben Ward, I think most of y'all know he had a stroke. He's recovering from that really well. He's been working. In the process of that, some of the medical tests showed up some other things. He was out today doing some medical visits, and he will be keeping us apprised of that. But keep Ben in your prayers. He works well in this county as both a deputy fire marshal for sure, but as our chaplain. There's a number of you all, I don't mean you personally, but you all, the fire service, have used his services. He's always available to talk and to counsel. So he's invaluable to our service. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers.
And he's probably prayed for you at some point too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Darren. Anybody else got anything?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, got a second? All adjourned.